to start with the pattern, you first want to print the pattern out. So it's a print at home pattern. It's a 8.5 by 11-inch sheet of paper. Just make sure you have Adobe Reader, and that's a free download that you can get online. You want to have your scissors, you want to have tape available. So once you print them out, make sure you do not scale or fit the pages when you're actually in the process of printing. So the pattern, it has to be printed in actual size or it won't match up properly. Again, if you don't have a printer at home, you can take it to the printer. They'll print off the sheets for you. Now, this pattern says it's 64 pages, which I know is absolutely insane and ridiculous. And if you have experience or even not with printing at home patterns, 64 pages is not cool. So what I did, I printed out, I believe it's the first 14 you can print out at home. The remainder you don't necessarily need to print. I put instructions in there on how to cut it out without using a pattern. It's super simple, and you don't need any experience with, pattern drafting or anything like that. For example, if the skirt portion of this dress is an extra large, you're going to cut a 59-inch wide by 53-inch long piece of fabric, and you're going to cut 2 of those. So it cuts out a lot of the printing and tiling that you have to do. So once you have them all printed out, you want to place the pattern pieces on a flat surface, and you want to place them in numerical order. So if you notice, it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think it's all the way through 16, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't have the number 1 and a few others only because I just took them out. They will print out when you need them printed out, just to kind of keep it uniform. So once you have them on the flat surface, you want to just kind of line them up and butt them up against one another. Once you do that, just go ahead and tape them, and then we'll start the process of cutting them out. Now, cutting them out, you want to make sure you cut them out according to your size guide. And the size guide is actually in the little booklet as well. It lets you know kind of like what the bust size. Now, keep in mind, this pattern, it can accommodate sizes that are even larger than the extra large or smaller than the extra small. Because you're doing a lot of the pleating, that's pretty much customizing the bust as well as the skirt to your specifications. You're able to kind of go up on sizes as well as go down. So don't feel like you're trapped into these specifications in terms of the sizing. And then the bust finished sizing is noted in here for extra large through extra small as well, just to kind of give you a guide. But again, you can kind of think outside of the box in terms of the sizing with this pattern. So once you have your pattern pieces all printed out, then you want to go ahead and place them on your fabric for cutting. So this is a 4-way stretch fabric. So in terms of orientation, you don't need to be as concerned with this. So you want to go ahead, place your pattern pieces on a folded piece of fabric. And keep in mind the length of your fabric and the width of your fabric. I recommend getting a 60-inch width fabric when you purchase the fabric, only because in terms of the skirt, the widest skirt that you can kind of put on there is going to be 59 inches. So if you buy a piece of fabric that's only 40 inches wide, you're going to have an issue placing the pattern as well as cutting out the proper width for your pattern. So keep that in mind. Try to get a 60-inch width fabric. And also, in terms of the fabric requirements, I noted those kind of in the pattern outlook as well. So once you have your pattern placed on your actual fabric, you can go ahead and pin it. Keep in mind, on a couple of the pattern pieces, there are markings. So it's going to tell you where you need to, like, maybe put the strap, or I believe, fold it at the top as well. You want to make sure you have your fabric chalk, or just a piece of chalk or a fabric marker, so that you can mark those places as well. So once it's all pinned, then you want to go ahead and cut it. So this is going to be step 6 in the pattern outlook. What you're going to do is you're going to fold the left and right side of the bodice under and 1/2 inch. You're going to pin that, and then you're going to stitch. You're going to do that for both sides, the left and the right side of the bodice. Okay, so this is going to be step 7 in the outlook. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and pin this. If you have a dress form, that's great. If not, you can put on a sports bra and kind of pin it that way. So you want to pin it exactly at the tip where you want your dress to fit, as well as on the side. You want to do the same thing with your sports bra. And then you want to pin it down the middle, and this is where you want it to fall in the center of your breast. Then you want to start the process of folding it. So once you have that done, like the pinning on each side, you're going to have this excess fabric in the middle. Then you want to go ahead and start pleating and pinning as you go. And what this is going to do is going to allow you to have it as tight or as loose fitting around your bust as you want. So this is pretty much forming this particular piece of the pattern around your actual body. So the larger the pleats that you do, the tighter it's going to fit. So you can continue to pleat going into the direction of your armpit. So you want your pleats to go in that direction as opposed to them going toward your center. And just continue to pleat, and then you want to pin. And if you can see here, it lets you know that this particular dress form is for my body, so I know how tight this is going to fit. So at this point, if you're happy with this, you can go ahead and you're going to baste stitch this in place. That way, when you take it to your machine, it'll be exactly where you wanted these pleats to go. This is also a good time to check and make sure in terms of the tightness of it, and it's going to be able to secure you. So you want to complete that process with the other side as well. And once you've done that, you then want to take both pieces over to your machine and stitch. And what you want to do is kind of stitch slightly below your basting stitch line. That way you can easily take out your basting stitch and you're going to be even on both sides. And once you do that, you then want to go ahead and iron both pieces flat. So step 8 is determining how far you want the V-neck down. So you want to kind of find your placement, put a pin, and then tack it with a single stitch. So this is step 9, which is attaching the skirt. So at this point, you've already decided if you wanted to draft your own skirt or if you printed out the pattern of the skirt. So once you've done either of the two, you want to make sure that at the top of the skirt, you fold it over in ½ inch and then you stitch. So once you've had that done, you then want to begin to attach it to the actual skirt. To the bodice. So you want to take the skirt side seam and you want to pin it to the side seam of the bodice. You want to do that on both sides. And at this point, you want to take the very center of the fabric in the front and you want to pin the very center to the bottom of the bodice, right where that V is. And what that's doing is that's leaving space on both sides in order for you to pleat and pin. So you start the process with pleating. You want to pleat to the inside. Again, the same thing applies to the skirt as the bodice. The tighter you want it, the larger you need to make your pleats. So you want to go ahead and pleat both sides, going toward the middle. So you want to repeat this process with the back fabric as well. So again, you want to grab the very center, and that's where you want to begin pleating. Now, if you don't have a dress form, just kind of like put a little mark, do a chalk mark, letting you know where the center of that fabric is. That way you can then begin to pleat. And you want to pleat with the pleat going toward the inside of the fabric. So going to the left or to the center. So once the front and back of the skirt is pleated, you then want to go ahead and baste stitch the front and the back. After you baste stitch, you want to take it to your machine and you want to stitch a 1/2 inch from the top of the skirt. So this is step 10 in the pattern outlook, the straps. So what you want to do is you want to fold one side of the strap over 1/8 of an inch, pin it, and then you want to fold the other side to meet the edge. You want to iron it flat and repeat the steps for the other strap. So once both of the straps are finished, then what you want to do is you want to take some type of vertical object. Even using your thread spool holder on your machine will work. What you want to do is you want to twist the two pieces of the strap and pin the top and bottom of the strap so that it doesn't unravel. So now what you want to do is you want to take pretty much the tips of the bodice, you want to fold them under where you placed your markings. But if you kind of lost your place with that, you can just fold it over about 1/2 an inch or so. And you want to do that on both sides. And then you want to go ahead and pin it. And what you want to do now is take one of the straps. You want to kind of open it up a bit. And then you want to take it and put the actual kind of the pointed portion that you folded over, put it through the hoop, and then pin it again so that the hoop is through the strap. And you want to do that for both sides and pin it in place. And then take it to your machine and stitch it. So what you want to do now is kind of pull the straps to the back. They may have unraveled a bit, which is fine. You can go ahead and kind of tighten them back up. But keep in mind, if at this point you feel that the straps are too tight, you can always kind of loosen them up a bit, unravel them, and that'll give you more breathing space in the bodice. I would definitely at this point try the dress on just to kind of see if you need it to be a bit tighter. Because these straps are allowing you to have like more security in the bodice. So what you want to do is do one tie kind of like in the center of the back, and then ravel the straps back up if they've come down. And what you want to do is pin these straps to the sides, and you want to pin them where the bodice and the skirt kind of where they meet. You want to pin them on that seam. And you want to do both sides this way. Once you've pinned them, then you want to go ahead and take it to the machine and you want to stitch it. And you want to kind of double stitch or triple stitch actually these straps, because there's going to be kind of a lot of pull on these straps once you wear this dress. So now you have the back band. So what you want to do is fold the fabric in half where you have the fold line. You want to go ahead and pin it. And then take it to the machine and stitch the bottom half. Only the bottom half, leave the two sides open. So once you've stitched and turned it right side out, you want to press and then leave these two sides open but baste stitch them. So once you have the band prepared, what you want to do now is get ready to attach it. So what you want to do is pin the bottom end of the band to the intersection of the side seam and the bodice seam. You want to do that on both sides. When you're pulling the band over, make sure you pull it nice and taut because you want it to be able to secure you a bit more in the back as well. So again, it's a four-way stretch, so you have some give in there, so it won't be uncomfortable at all. So to finish it off, just go ahead and stitch along the perimeter. And finish the dress by adding a 1/2 inch hem.